Somebody's put those comics together, Marina. Somebody's put them together.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you haven't done it yet, don't be like discouraging. It's a cool gimmick. It's a cool thing.
Yeah,
That looks
cool
great.
Idea.
That looks so great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're reviewing The Walking Dead comic book, Volume
9.
Volume 9. What's it called?
Here We Remain.
This is nuts because this is the first time I've read this.
Yeah. So we're both
fresh.
On the same.
Fresh.
Yeah.
First time I read it. This is the aftermath of the prison saga.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rick and Carl run off because Lori died.
Yeah.
And the baby Judith gone, which was so gnarly. It was so crazy. They escape. Michonne kills Tyrese's head right in the beginning. So Michonne has to take out Tyrese's decapitated zombie head.
Yep.
But Michonne reunites with the survivors here. And this is a really interesting, slowdown of The Walking Dead, and it's a total shift in energy.
Yeah.
We're still following some of the characters, but it's a completely new story, basically. Like, it's a new comic.
Mm-hmm. We spend a lot of time, with Carl and Rick just in a house.
Just talking.
Kind of like season 1, when Rick first wakes up and he's with Morgan and Morgan's kid.
Yes.
Like, it's just them in a house.
Which, again, that happened in that first volume of the comic, but it was so quick. It was like 2 seconds, and there was no... The early Walking Dead comics are definitely plot-driven, they feel like. They're more plot, and Rick is just... He's not really a character, but he's just us being taken through this world of, like, then this happens, and what if this happened?
Yeah.
And now we're getting to the point in the comic where the characters are kind of breathing a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're talking to one another, and we're seeing character decisions happen.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. Carl,
kills protects his dad. That was crazy. Rick passes out.
Yeah, Rick passes out. Carl goes outside for, like, kind of no reason, sort of. I guess it's because there's zombies at the door, but he could have just left the door closed. And he wanted to
lead them. Is this when he goes outside?
Yeah.
He goes around back and leads them to a next-door neighbor's house. Yeah, that's it. Come here, you ugly jerks. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right? He does this to lure them to another house so that he can escape out of that back door and go back to his dad. So
Carl is like, I don't really need you anymore.
He makes that decision.
I'm independent now. But then he realizes, like, this is hard. Mm-hmm. And it is actually scary to not have your dad when your mom already is dead.
And in the in the Walking Dead comic book, I gotta say this: zombies are still fucking scary.
Yeah.
Okay, zombies are still a looming threat. They can outnumber you.
Yeah.
And it's not just because there's no sound and we're turning the page and there's a scare, but like this little scenario that Carl gets himself into, and he has to shoot himself out, and then he's all happy right there, where he kills a couple guys after he throws up and. Mm-hmm. It's still...
It's very real and visceral, like it's a threat. So he kind of has this character development of, like, I don't really need my dad anymore, but then he realizes and admits out loud to himself, like, yeah, I do, because I'm a kid, I'm a child still.
Yeah. But he still says, I'll be okay if you die. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to show strength. It's a really emotional moment.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. He doesn't know if his dad did die, and he was about to shoot him because he was groaning because he was so sick. So once Rick in this house gets better, they kind of move on. Now that I'm thinking about this whole stuff, I really liked it. I really liked the stuff with Carl.
So remember, a while ago you were like, I think the comic is going to overtake the show.
Tell me that it's happened.
And it's this one.
Yes! It's happened!
But it wasn't the one...
It wasn't the one I thought.
It wasn't
Again,
what you
thought that the shocking ending of everybody in the prison dies was going to mean Marina's going to like the comic better than the show.
I liked that comic book better than that season. But the show still, as a whole, held out for me. But now, this is starting to, like, the lines were like the line of the show and the comic book. If only you had a
drawing.
Like
if only you could do a drawing right now.
I know. I don't have my paper with me. But like that, and then the volume 8 they met.
Yes.
In the middle.
And now, volume 9.
And now they're starting to... Now, who knows if it'll keep going.
Why is that? Why is... You've watched every episode of The Walking Dead TV show. This is the first comic book you've read. Why is it that now, all of a sudden, you're seeing the comic book as a whole as being a little bit better than the show as a whole?
They are taking more time in the comic book than they do in the show. They're taking time with characters. They're taking time to have the walkers still be scary. And they're going into the psychological... damage that happens because of this. Because Rick in this basically loses his mind and
picks up a phone
and is speaking to Lori like again and again and again.
Did you think he was speaking to somebody?
Yeah,
Did you
I
think
thought he was.
Yes, it worked. The twist worked. You
Yeah.
thought he was speaking to another survivor and another group.
And you know what? It worked because I was like, landlines are like pretty durable. Like in an earthquake, landlines are the only ones that work.
Sure.
Like cell phone towers don't work, but landline. Like,
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like in an earthquake. Fucked. Yeah, that's why we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Like, that's why after September 11th, nobody could make a call, because nobody had a landline. So, but this, I was like, yeah, that house has a landline.
Sure.
If the house still has electricity, it might work.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
What did you think about that twist when she said, you know who it is, it's me, Lori, on
the
other end of the receiver?
I was like, oh, he's just crazy.
Oh, so sad.
But I like that they go into that, and the way that they did it in the show...
He takes the phone with him. He unplugs the phone and takes it with him. So sad.
So sad.
So how do they do it in the show?
In the show, they have Lori standing there in a white dress.
Ghost Lori. People were mad at that.
Yeah. I didn't even know that it was a reference to this, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. Can I tell you something, too? Before the Walking Dead show even aired, before it even started, there was like a little mini fan film that I think you can find on YouTube. I'll try to find it for you and link it to you later, where somebody shot themselves. Not the best acting, not the best cinematography, but it was black and white, and it was a actor, and I think they CG'd or they faked his hand stump, and he was Rick, and he was talking on the phone. It was a scene that they shot in a house on the conversation, and at the end it said, you know who I am, I'm Lori, and they cut to the phone unplugged.
Yeah.
And I remember it coming out and being black and white, and I remember thinking, man, if the TV show does this but better, it'll be so good.
They didn't
even
try.
Not even close. And it's not even close. So I remember that as being a really effective moment. They meet up with Michonne, and in the comic book, I don't think I would have done this if it hadn't been for the show. So I'll give the show this. I'm starting to see a little bit of love and romance between Michonne and Rick. That she's like, I'm glad you're okay, and vice versa, which is really interesting.
They have a very nice moment, because Michonne in the comic has been talking to herself.
Yes.
Or we think that she's talking to herself.
And she reveals to Rick, I'm talking to my dead boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend who's dead. It makes me feel better.
Yep.
And he says, I talked to my wife.
And he takes out the phone and he's like, guess what? I'm crazy too. So they have this nice bonding, like of a psychological... You just see the psychological impact more here than you do in the show, because sometimes in the show, like, crazy stuff happens and they're just like, oh well,
and you know what's frustrating is that, like, the show takes longer to tell the story. To me, more things are happening, more plot things still happen in this volume, because who shows up right at the end after they meet Glenn and Maggie? They go back to the farm. Sophia's alive. They reconnect with everybody. Dale's there. Andrea's there. Abraham and Eugene and Rosita show up. Abraham shows up. This big... You know, the handlebar mustache guy, and never having read the comic and only watching the show, I'm like, even with this little taste, I'm like, I like Abraham in the comic better than in the show. Yeah. And he reveals we have the cure, and Eugene knows what's going on, and he's brilliant, and we're going to Washington. More things are happening plot-wise in this, and the way that the characters talk to one another and how do they come to the decision of we should go with him, how they're like, there's hordes of them. Yeah. If they just slightly turn and take out this house, everybody who lives here in this farm is dead. Yeah. And that they're like, we got to stay on the move.
They bother to explain the different behaviors and types of zombies even, and the fact that a horde is like a very scary thing that you cannot fight. In the comic book, much more than they do in the show.
Absolutely. And it just helps inform the characters' decisions,
Yeah, I think that maybe the reference to the horde is what they did when they first got to Alexandria and they had those zombies in the
ravine.
But they managed it and they directed it out, so it was like basically making even a horde not scary. Yeah. Which kind of took the danger away.
I agree. They're still dangerous. Eugene shows up. He's an interesting character. He's cussing a lot. That's another thing that I love that the comic has.
Yeah,
with the show,
you can actually.
It's great.
Sometimes in the show, you're just like, just say it.
Just say, come on, Negan, just throw down an F-bomb.
Just say it, yeah.
So we're getting through it, and at the end of this volume, they decide to go with Eugene and Abraham, and it's really...
You like Abraham better in the
comic than the show. I really do. In the show, Abraham to me is
I guess I haven't seen enough of him.
Yes, to me he's like dumb and he says stupid stuff that's annoying and it's not endearing to me a lot of the times.
I love the actor so much.
Yeah, I like the actor.
Yeah.
I just, the character, I'm like, he doesn't work for me.
But you know what?
With the decisions he's made.
That makes sense because I was the only one who liked the dumb things that he said on Knocking Dead.
Yeah. But this Abraham is a little bit more grounded at first,
he's more real. Yeah.
So that I think that when he starts to turn into that version of the character, I'll be more like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but it's very reasonable.
Yes.
Rick is psychologically, I feel like making more realistic decisions. Like, this is what I would do if I had tried to be in charge and I got my wife and baby murdered. I would be like, you know what? I'm not in charge anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
and he does, and he makes that call.
And he does it.
And he makes that call. And so they ride off with the crew with horses. Glenn and Maggie's got some horses. I love a lot of these characters. I love Dale. I'm glad that he's still alive in this part of the story, as opposed to in the show he died earlier.
Daryl?
Dale.
Oh,
not Daryl. Dale. There's no Daryl. No Daryl in the comic.
No.
But okay. So, question to you guys watching: what was your favorite moment and least favorite moment of Volume 9? Do you agree with us? Disagree with us? Is there anything that we missed? I want to ask Marina. What do you think is going to happen in Volume 10? What do you think the next?
I honestly have no idea because
it's an open-ended world.
Yeah.
They're not in one location, and there's no. You know, there's no looming threat of like the governor's going to attack. It's like totally open-ended.
They haven't. The show hasn't been following the comic book very closely at all.
Sure.
Since especially the prison, like that's not how the prison ended in the show.
Yep.
So now I really don't have any, like, the next thing I remember is, I guess, Alexandria or Negan. So I don't, no, that's not true. The cannibal
Terminus.
Terminus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
maybe
Terminus might be next. Maybe Terminus. I think it's still going to be a while before we get to Negan. I think in the comic book, but
yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally brand new to it. I just read Volume 10, and I'm going to say this thing. Right. Here's what we got coming up next. Volume 10, What We Become. I told you that when we first started doing this thing, that you took an issue with the fact that Carl was the one to shoot Shane. Yeah. Remember that? And we talked about that. And you were like, because in the show, Rick dealt with it. And now in the comic book, I haven't seen that pan out. And you missed that. You thought that was a missed opportunity. You thought that the show did it better, where it was Rick who had to kill his own best friend and then deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If you like that volume, this one was even better for me.
Okay.
I love Volume 10. We'll talk about it once you read it, but keep that in mind as you read this volume, because I was like, ooh, Marina's going to love this. Marina's going to love this. That's all I was thinking for this one moment. So that's coming up.
The cover is already great.
With Stumpy Rick. I love it. And I can't wait to read more of it, because I remember hearing that Robert Kirkman regretted cutting off his hand as a writer, because he was like, God, I would get so stuck with like, how is this guy not dead? When you lose your right hand, like you'd lose if he was right-handed, especially before. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what keeps happening with Rick.
He can't open a can in the previous.
And he gives it to Carl, which was a great character moment. It was a great moment for pushing Carl towards that independence, which is really great. Carl and Rick are so much more likable in this comic. You know?
Yeah, they really are.
Because we spend more time with them, I think, because they talk through their actions and stuff. It's great. So guys, let us know what you liked about Volume 9, Here We Remain. Stuff's changing, stuff's moving. Neither of us have read it. No idea what's going to happen. People have been saying they're so stoked for us to get to this and this and this. Cool. Like, they know what's coming up. And for those of you guys that are rereading along with us, thank you. For those of you guys that are reading for the first time with us, awesome. Thank you so much. We're right there with you. Let us know if we missed anything, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, bye.
Bye.